Let's talk about protecting our wealth. Are you worried about the future of the U.S. economy? With so much uncertainty in the air, it's natural to fret about the security of your retirement savings. But there's one asset that stands the test of time, and that is gold. For centuries, gold has been a hedge against market volatility and economic instability. With a gold IRA from Noble Gold Investments, you can harness the power of precious metals to help protect your financial future. By rolling over your existing IRA or 401k into a self-directed gold IRA, you can enjoy the potential for long-term growth and stability. Diversify your portfolio with a tangible asset that has real value. Setting up your gold IRA has never been easier with Noble Gold Investments' streamlined process and expert guidance. This election year, don't let election volatility and uncertainty keep you up at night. Vote for the timeless safety of gold and silver in 2024. Noble Gold Investments will give you up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar if you open a qualified account. Go to x22gold.com, that's x22gold.com, or click the link in the description. And remember, there's always a risk of investment and there's no guarantee of any kind. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, the private West Central Bank, the World Economic Forum, you can see they're doing exactly what they had planned to do. They're right on schedule. They were going to do this no matter if Trump was in office or he wasn't in office. They were trying to do it while he was in office. And what am I talking about? They were trying to bring down the economic system. If you go back to 2018, 2019, they started to raise the rates. Trump called them out on this. Then during COVID, we had Soros let everyone know that the market is running very hot and it looks like it's going to come down. So what did they use as a cover story? The pandemic, or should we say the plandemic. And the market started to come down. But once again, the deep state players, the central bank, the World Economic Forum, they weren't in control. And the market started to go back up. But you could see what their plan was. Their plan was to have the economy implode under Trump's watch. Now remember, this is their economy. They create everything. They control the market. They control the interest rates. They control the creation of currency. This is their economic system. We're all playing within their economic system. Trump and the Patriots, they know this. And Trump, he rather this come down on their watch than his watch. So he wasn't going to interfere with an enemy while they're in the process of destroying themselves. Let them do what they do best. He could use all of this against them. Now, do we want the market to come down? Do we want people to lose jobs? Do we want an economic disaster? No, we don't. What we do want is we want to get out of this system. And how do you get out of a system where another entity controls the system? You need to get rid of it. And how do you get rid of it? Well, you can either have it destroyed under your watch or allow the deep state, the central bank, the World Economic Forum, destroy it under their watch, making them think that they're in control. They're going to bring us into the Great Reset, bring us to the central bank digital currency. And at that point, you can use this leverage, because they'll be very, very weak at this point. You can use this leverage and shift the entire system away from them. And you will have the people's support. So this is what we're seeing right now, and we are right on schedule. And we can see that Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, they're trapped in their economic agenda. The stage is set for the Federal Reserve. Because remember, all of this, in the end, is going to point to the Federal Reserve. Now, the powers that be, what are they going to do? They're going to try to cover all of this up. Yes, they're going to probably most likely use a cyber attack because they're going to have to cover this up. Because they don't want everyone looking at them. What the Fed likes to do, and this is the central banks across the globe, they like everyone to look someplace else. They say, okay, yes, the economy fell apart, but hey, we were doing all the right things. You know where you should look? You got to look at the Biden administration. You got to look at the cyber attack that just happened, because a foreign entity actually attacked the country, brought the system down. And it wasn't just the system here in the United States, but they brought it down worldwide. So the Fed, the central banks, we were doing the right thing. Because of this strange event, that's why everything fell apart. And you could see already, they're already building up to this. Now, Trump on the other side is using this to his advantage. He knows that they're going to do this. This is part of their playbook. He's been letting everyone know that, hey, if Biden wins the election in 2020, what's going to happen? The market's going to come down. We're going to enter a recession or maybe even a depression. That is what we're experiencing now. Think about it. It's the presidential election coming up right now. You got to wake the people up. You're going to wake the people up with what? Scare events. And those people that have been lying to them this entire time, the people are going to realize, hey, you know something? They really did lie to us every step of the way. They told us everything was fine. They told us Bidenomics was working. Then they told us there's no such thing as Bidenomics. We never said anything about Bidenomics. Everything they've been telling us has been a lie, because their entire agenda is to bring us into their new system. This is why they're getting rid of farms at an accelerated rate. This is why the farmers across Europe are protesting, because they understand what they're about to do. They're about to wipe out the farmers. They don't want the people eating the food. They believe this food is theirs. So you know what you'll be happy with? Bugs. Or this goop that they've created. Trump, he put this out on Truth. He said, we have lost over 125,000 family farms since crooked Joe Biden and his even more incompetent vice president, crazy Kamala Harris, took over our government. They hate our farmers and want them driven out of business, which is exactly what they're doing. Farmers for Trump equals MAGA 2024. Vote, vote, vote. And he's absolutely right. And it's not just happening here in the country, but it's happening around the world. Now, we've already seen what has happened here. The market came down. The market was, 40,000 plus. It came down, and people now are looking at the entire situation, and they're panicking. They're like, why is the market coming down all of a sudden? All the numbers are telling us that the economy is doing great. The Biden administration and Kamala Harris, they're continually telling us that the economy is roaring. The Fed is saying, hey, we're ready for a rate cut because inflation's under control, everyone's getting a job, and the GDP numbers look fantastic. So why is the market all of a sudden coming down? Does it make any sense? No, but I do believe they are now building up to explain the rate cut and to actually push the Fed in the direction of doing the rate cut. And all eyes will be on the Fed. I think the stage is set where everyone's going to realize the Fed is responsible for all of this. Now, Trump, he is now using this to his advantage. We all knew this was coming. This is not a surprise whatsoever, because we've known for a very long time that they've been making decisions using manipulated numbers. We know that this is an illusionary economy. This looks very, very similar to 2008, 2009. Didn't the market come down a little bit in the summer of 2008, 2009? Weren't people a little nervous back then? Yes, they were. The same thing's happening right now. And what do we see happen? Well, it looks like a lot of the trading systems, they all of a sudden were not accessible. And we had Schwab, Vanguard, Fidelity, Ameritrade, E-Trade, and people were unable to access their accounts. Now, you probably can expect this as we get closer and closer to the presidential election, because I do believe this is just the first phase of all of this. And you can see now the people are panicking. The people are looking at the Biden administration, Kamala, the Fed, going, okay, what is going on right now? The Kopisi letter on X put this out and said the volatility index VIX is now trading above 65, a level only seen 2 previous times. The only 2 times the VIX has traded above 65 were the 2020 pandemic and the 2008 financial crisis. This puts the VIX up a whopping 550% from its July 2024 lows. As a result, the S&P 500 has now erased $5 trillion of market cap over the last month. Buckle up. Absolutely. And I know the fake news out there, and I think you probably heard it already, but if you haven't, they're trying to say that Kamala Harris never said anything about Bidenomics, that she never even talked about Bidenomics. Let's talk about protecting our wealth. Are you worried about the future of the U.S. economy? With so much uncertainty in the air, it's natural to fret about the security of your retirement savings. But there's one asset that stands the test of time, and that is gold. For centuries, gold has been a hedge against market volatility and economic instability. With a gold IRA from Noble Gold Investments, you can harness the power of precious metals to help protect your financial future. By rolling over your existing IRA or 401k into a self-directed gold IRA, you can enjoy the potential for long-term growth and stability. Diverse Diversify your portfolio with a tangible asset that has real value. Setting up your gold IRA has never been easier with Noble Gold Investments, streamlined process, and expert guidance. This election year, don't let election volatility and uncertainty keep you up at night. Vote for the timeless safety of gold and silver in 2024. Noble Gold Investments will give you up to 10 1-ounce silver Trump coins or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar if you open a qualified account. Go to x22gold.com. That's x22gold.com or click the link in the description. And remember, there's always a risk of investment and there's no guarantee of any kind. But if you look all over the internet, what do you see? You see Kamala talking about Bidenomics. The RNC research put this out on X and said, Bidenomics, ha ha ha. That is called Bidenomics, and we are very proud of Bidenomics, Kamala Harris. So she is continually pushing Bidenomics. We had Biden pushing Bidenomics, and that should tell you everything you need to know. Because again, they're telling you that everything is working, everything is fine. But let's go back a little bit in time. First, we'll go to what Trump said 4 years ago. And what's very interesting is Kamala Harris and her headquarters, they put this out on X. 4 years ago today, Trump claimed the stock market would crash if Joe Biden was elected. The stock market has reached the highest levels ever recorded in history under Biden. Now, they put this out in May of 2024. And they were going back 4 years when Trump said this. What just happened today? The market came down. You think this is all said and done? Absolutely not. But this shows that Trump was right again. And it shows they have no idea what they're talking about. Now, again, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, the fake news, they're now regrouping to get their talking points out there, and they're probably going to say this is just a little glitch, it's a little hiccup. Don't worry, Bidenomics is going to work. I don't know if they're going to use the word Bidenomics, but don't worry, everything's going to be okay, and the market's going to go back up. Now, I do believe we're going to see a lot of this, but people, this is what this is going to do. It's going to make people think. And Trump, he's going to continually say, yeah, we saw the market come down now. I do believe that it's going to just get worse as time goes on because they have no idea what they're doing, and they really don't know what they're doing. But if we just go back a week ago, Nick Sorter put this out, and Joe Biden, just last week said, I cured the economy. So they were pumping all this up. They were all in on the market, and they're looking like, hey, Bidenomics is working. I cured the economy, and now they have a major problem in front of them. Now, of course, what they're going to do is they're going to lie to the public. They're going to get their talking points. They're going to come out and say, whatever they're going to say about the market, don't worry. This was part of the plan. It's going to improve, and it probably will. And we'll probably see the market come down again. I do believe this is going to be closer to September now. And then as we move into October, especially when the Fed cuts the rate. But I do believe this is all being set up and setting the stage for the Fed to take responsibility of all of this. But since the market did come down, it's very odd that Gene Sperling decided to step down. And this is Biden's senior economic advisor. He resigned after the market crashed. Now, Trump, he is now playing this all up, of course, because we're heading into the presidential election. And when people see the economy completely implode on itself and the market come down, and remember, that's the last signal that there's problems in the economy, Trump is going to point this out and show the people, look, the market's crashing. Most likely we're in a recession, headed toward depression. If you want this, vote for them. If you want an incredible economy, jobs, low inflation, get rid of the central bank so we can bring back industry where we can create our own currency, he's going to say, well, vote for me then. And he's using this now to his advantage. Actually, he's just turned the tables on the Obamas, on Hillary Clinton, on the Biden, on the deep state players, the central bankers, because they used this same exact strategy going back to 2008 election. Now he's using it against them. These are the two truths that he put out on Truth Social. He said the following. Of course, there is a massive market downturn. Kamala is even worse than Crooked Joe. Markets will never accept the radical left lunatic that destroyed San Francisco and California as a whole. Next move, the Great Depression of 2024. You can't play games with the markets, Kamala. Crash. Then he says stock markets are crashing, job numbers are terrible, we're heading to World War III, and we have two of the most incompetent leaders in history. This is not good. Now remember, as everything falls apart, Biden, Kamala Harris, and whoever else is running, they're going to try to explain this away. The Fed is going to point to the cyber attack. And yes, eventually Biden, Kamala Harris, whoever else is running, they'll also point to the cyber attack. But again, we are heading towards war, but Trump has the ultimate weapon, and he's going to use it. That is called peace. But as we approach the presidential election and we see the market come down, we can expect a couple of things from the stock market. They have something called the circuit breaker, which is going to halt trading. Genevieve Roque-Decker on X put this out and said, circuit breakers are temporary measures that halt trading to curb panic selling. This is how it works. Level 1 drop of 7% from the prior day's closing price of the S&P 500 triggers a 15-minute trading halt. Level 2, drop of 13% triggers a 15-minute halt. Level 3, a drop of 20% triggers a halt for the rest of the trading day, and trading resumes the following day. NASDAQ futures are down negative 5.96%. So right now, because of what just happened, we just lost, or $2 trillion was just wiped out of the stock market. And we can see that this is just the beginning. Now, do I think the market's going to crash right now? No, I think it's going to be pumped back up. I think this is a scare type of an event. It gets people talking, and people are going to ask questions. Why did this happen if the economy is so good, if the numbers are so good, the job numbers are so good, the inflation numbers are so good? Why is this happening? And if the economy is so good and the market came down, why is the Fed still cutting rates? Something doesn't make sense. But let's just go back a little bit in time to post 1802. This is August 2nd, 2018. And we just passed this delta. It's very interesting that it says something big is about to drop. And it looks like that just happened. But the Fed, it looks like they're still prepared to do what? To cut rates. Election Wizard on Telegram put this out and said, now that the Fed looks to be materially behind the curve, we expect a 50 basis point cut at the September meeting, followed by another 50 basis point cut in November. So they're expecting a huge cut right now as we approach the presidential election. That is very interesting. And we're going to be talking about the Fed and how this is all set up to point to them in just a minute. But Trump, while he was being interviewed by Maria Bartiromo, he said the most important thing right now is inflation. He said inflation has been a disaster in this country, and it killed the middle class. It's killing the working class, and we're going to get inflation brought down. He's talking about inflation because this relates directly to the private West Central Bank. The reason why we have inflation is because we borrow currency from this private central bank. There's interest attached on it, and we have to pay it back. And the more they print, or the more they create via the computers, it means more of this currency is in circulation, which means the value of the currency declines, which then looks like inflation. It looks like prices are going up, but that's not really what's happening. You need more and more of those pieces of paper that say the Federal Reserve note to pay for the same exact item. So I think he's talking about inflation getting everyone prepared and ready for what is coming. And I do believe Trump, the Patriots, they want all eyes on the Fed. And what's very interesting, out of Business Insider, there's this headline that says, why the Fed is being blamed for the historic stock market plunge. The Federal Reserve is catching some heat for the historic stock market plunge. Experts argue that the Fed's decision to leave rates unchanged at its last meeting contributed to the chaos. Calls for steep rate cuts highlight concerns over the Fed's delayed response to a slowing economy. So the Federal Reserve is to blame for the market coming down right now. And it looks like they're saying that the Fed waited too long to cut the rates. So when the Fed says, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to cut the rates by 50 basis points or maybe even a little bit more, and hopefully this solves the problem. Once they do this and the market comes down and everything starts to crash,
Who are they going to blame? Who are the people going to blame? They're going to blame the Fed. They're going to blame Biden. They're going to blame Kamala Harris. They're going to blame whoever else is running at the time. They might remove Kamala Harris. So the people, they're going to understand who's responsible for this. Now, once again, the deep state players, the central bank, the World Economic Forum, they're going to try to convince everyone that they didn't cause this. It was a cyber attack that caused this. Foreign governments, they attacked our financial institutions because we're at war and they're the ones who are to blame. But again, since we're talking about this, since we know what they're planning, this is not going to work, especially when Trump ushers in peace, because this is going to be a major, major problem for them. If you go back to the pandemic, they thought they were going to use the pandemic to bring us into their new system. They were going to destroy the economic system. When Trump countered this, everything was exposed. Remember, he opened up the country. Once he opened up the country, the world was then opened up, which means everyone could see what they were doing with the Green New Scam, the Great Reset, everything. And what did people do? They are rejecting it. There's already bills sitting in Congress waiting for something to happen. So I do believe by having this secret weapon, which is peace, this is going to expose everything they're trying to do, which means once he ushers in peace, once he's elected and he ushers in peace, this stops their entire cycle. See, their cycle is cyber attack, bring us to war, everything's covered up. They have to go to the private West Central Bank to pay for the war. Everything is destroyed. The infrastructure is destroyed. Population's brought to a very low level. Then people have to go back to the private West Central Bank, and the private West Central Bank, with the new system, will loan all the different countries money to rebuild in the way they want everything rebuilt, which is smart cities. They don't want people using the highways. They want everyone trapped in these little tiny areas. You'll be eating bugs and things like that. Once Trump ushers in peace, all that goes away. And then everyone is looking at the last administration, and they're looking at the Federal Reserve, and every other country is looking at the central bank establishment, which means investigations, which means the people are going to find out the truth, which means we'll have the ability, and Trump, I do believe he'll show the people, not just him himself, but you'll have Congress and many others show the people the truth. And this is going to give Trump, the Patriots, the leverage to move away from the central bank system. And the people will be on board. And Trump, he put this out on Truth. He said, Trump cash versus Kamala crash. And I think people are going to have to make a decision at this point in time. And I do believe they're going to pick Trump cash.